Okay, so good evening,
Okay.
Mr. Chukwu, and good evening, viewers. This evening, again, continuing our COVID-19 series, I'm talking to Mr. Ignatius Chukwu. Mr. Ignatius Chukwu is an economic journalist, a financial journalist, and has been reporting financial journalism for quite a few decades. I would say 3 decades and counting. He is the regional editor for the Business Day newspapers in all of the South region. Mr. Chukwu, good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Yeah, so it's good to talk to you. And basically, we're looking at COVID-19. Today, the president spoke to Nigerians and talked about what he was going to be doing to make things easier on the populace. And one of the things he talked about was the school feeding program. At least that was the one he was emphatic about. Listening to the broadcast this evening, and from the standpoint of someone who reports the economy, are these initiatives that you think will stimulate the economy at this time?
You mean whether I picked some initiatives that may impact on
These
families and the
initiatives
economy?
that were mentioned by Mr. President this evening when he spoke in his broadcast are things like the school feeding program and the kinds of monies that are going into the economy. Are these things that you think will stimulate the economy at this time?
I'm yet to understand how the school feeding program will go on when schools are not in session. He said he will speak further on that the officials of government will come out with how to work. So I don't know whether the children will go to school and feed and come back, or whether they will take the food to their homes. So until that is made clear, I don't know how that is going to impact on the economy of families. I will wait for details, but I don't really understand how it will operate. None of the ideas in my mind, none looks plausible. You can't call out children to the schools and expose them again, and you can't go to their homes to administer food to them because it will require taking a census of their homes and where they live and all of that. I think that if schools are off, if the schools are shut down, any program for schools should also be suspended until when schools to reopen. But other measures, especially the giving IDPs, giving them their foodstuff in
Yes.
advance,
Yes.
is good. That is good. Other ones I heard about a moratorium. We have been expecting for this moratorium because debt obligations are difficult, are going to be difficult going forward. So
Yes.
any measure that would suspend it by law
Mhm.
will be okay. And then the empower payment,
Yes.
empower people, yes, they're the ones. Any government program, any of the welfare government programs, should the obligations on them are put under moratorium for 3 months. I think that is okay. But the larger economy, where the big loans are and the big payments and obligations, where they are actually between industries, businesses, and banks. I think that's where the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria National Council had a meeting here last Thursday, last week in Port Harcourt,
Yes.
and there the major request they made was on a moratorium for debt obligations, so that they will not continue to write the interest during this period and all of that.
Now, looking at the economy with everything shutting down, should we envisage a crisis at the end of all of this? Should we envisage a crisis? I mean, you're talking about the fact that oil prices right now are at $26 per barrel. For a country like ours, where our production cost, even if we admit that it's a production cost of $17, we're still among the highest in the world. I mean, Saudi Arabia is producing at $5. Some are producing at $4. And so with oil prices dipping, foreign reserves not looking too great, businesses now shutting down, what will be the economic implication for us as a country? Talking about generally in terms of GDP, but also talking about household purchasing power.
Well. Nigeria seems to be could be the first African country to test the of COVID-19. For now, the world is taking a cue only from China to Italy, Spain, now yes. We have a country that has gone to full-blown. So I should, because we need to know how fragile economies can handle this. The countries so far that are handling it are organized countries with strong structure, strong data, strong understanding. Most of them run social welfare, and under social welfare, you need a lot of statistics to know the number of unemployed, number of people coming out of school, those who lost their jobs, that you know how to your tokens. But how do you plan to send help? So if you don't have data, is it not that you can build one? And how do you trust any figure given to you? And therefore, we all know that we are heading to a kind of economic crisis. The minister yesterday tried to assuage our fears by saying we are not broke, but we are not comfortable. So which means any little push will go into something bad. And therefore, one is having economic recession, which takes 2 quarters. But where we are now is that families can't wait for recession to arrive before their problems will start. Ordinarily, recession will come first. Then that's the macro. The macro crisis will come first before the micro crisis will come. But now it's like it's going to be the other way around. It means that the heat will come to families, and as we have been saying, every economy has formal sector and informal sector. Our informal sector in Nigeria looks like heavy SME, micro, everything is like under a majority of Nigerian earners don't have regular income. They go out every day and hope that at the end of the day, whatever comes. So which in Nigerian parlance is called a hustle. So everybody is a hustler. Those who have regular incomes, those who can stay at home and their salaries will still be running, there are not many. The majority of Nigerians won't eat the next day if they didn't go out. So the issue now is if the majority of Nigerians belong to the informal sector and the majority of the informal sector depend on hustling and depend on daily income and irregular income, how will a stay at home play out?
So the pictures you paint then are scary.
People will be at home and they will be hungry. That is the fear, that crisis must stop at the home front before we get to national level.
Okay, but the CBN governor was talking about certain palliatives. So from where we're sitting and what is going on, are we saying that there is no intervention? I mean, if we can't get interventions at the level of the federal government, can state governments, can regional governments begin to consider doing something? Okay, what can state governments do to mitigate this crisis?
Yeah, the federal government or the CBN mentioned 1.5 and later 3.5 trillion. They'll say most of it will go to real sector, but still talking about families. where the crisis is going to start. Because if crisis starts bottom up from families, and of course, the crisis will come top bottom from the macro angle, when the industries will be in problem, and the total GDP will go down. Those ones, GDP has not started acting. The one acting that families don't have money to buy food and stock. So, and they can't go out and work and earn money to buy. So that particular one is emergency. And therefore, I agree with you that I think regional and local governments could be more useful in planning it out. A lot of people are already expecting federal government to pay in some money to the 40 million verified BVN accounts in Nigeria, and they think that if they pay in 250,000 to every account, that it may be up to 150 billion. They are doing their calculations, but the best it would be BVN-based allocations, so that people can buy food at least to wait out the sit at home. When the economy will now go down and go into recession, we will now go to interventions and the stimulus. So stimulus is to help the economy, while family intervention now is to enable people, families to eat and their life to wait for stimulus for industries. So the local governments and state governments think should have figures. If they don't have, they're in a position to find out where they help. But the federal action could be using the BVN verified accounts to intervene in people's lives.
So we're actually talking, I'm looking at it, we're really talking 2 to 3 levels of interventions here, where we're looking at households and providing support for households, like something like what Lagos State government is doing. Now, sometimes it might be difficult to provide across households. So are we suggesting that government should be selective in determining which households they should intervene with? I mean, again, I hear what you're saying when you think about smallholder farmers or itinerant fishermen. But how does government then map out where they intervene? So which households would you be providing this, if you like, this kind of support?
It's difficult actually, especially for a country like Nigeria that is mostly rural.
Yes.
The Western countries, as I said, are already, they are city-based, they are data-driven. They can say in a jiffy how many people are unemployed or the number of people losing jobs. Difficult in our environment to have data, and when you don't have data, you'll be forced to use the African balance, man no man. If you give the responsibility to a political party, it will not work. You tell a local government chairman to name those who need help, he will give you his own list. Yeah. The easiest.
I'm losing you.
Governance to a household should be wards, the ward level. Where you have a local government and you have ward level. The ward level should be that almost everybody in the ward is known by the councillor for that ward. Then you know everybody. It's possible it's not about local government take care of local government, but no, it should be federal government to have what they want to do. They now work with state governments and local governments to identify beneficiaries.
But you see, that's
about 1 hour ago, where we sit, we are thinking about it. How do we select the best way to inject help? We didn't agree on the best, but we agreed that the BVN-based verified accounts would be the most justifiable. But it still has a lot of weaknesses because up north there are huge populations of itinerant persons you can hardly pin down through BVN.
Not just
that would also be all over an issue.
Country. In rural communities, they're not, I mean, there's no bank in certain, there are many villages where there is no bank and people do not have access to banking services. We'll talk about that some other time, the whole issue of reaching the unbanked. So clearly, this is something governments have to actually sit and think through, the social issues. And the socioeconomic frustrations that would come out of COVID-19. So let me come down to Rivers State in specific terms. What do you envisage would be the socioeconomic fallouts of this? And how can non-state parties, non-state actors help to mitigate the problem?
Well, the first fear we have, the first thing that may happen is that everybody needs to stay at home to fight this virus. It's important. But as Andrew Cuomo of New York said this evening, that you are to design a system that will fight two problems at the same time. One, you must fight the virus. Two, you must fight fear. So if you apply only lockdown, shutdown, without at the same time creating or announcing to the people how they will survive. If people will not move, if people can't go to the markets, is there a way the markets can come to people?
Something like what they're doing?
If there will be no movement, can there be dedicated markets operated, or let me say, supervised by security agencies, where people can come one after the other in a queue, a queue that is guided. You buy and go back. But one will be, I have money, but I have nowhere to buy food. That will be one problem. Another problem will be, I have no money, I don't even know where to buy. So if that, yeah, so that'll be two problems. So what about those who have money, but they would have nowhere to buy? One problem. What about those who have money? If you get buying centers or what they call the food corridor,
yeah,
the first thing will be that those who have money to buy will be calm. So you have less number of people who will be angry. But if you have money you can't buy, you don't have money you can't buy, the number of people who will be angry at the same time will be so huge that you can't control it. And if you rely on security agencies to control angry people, what about if the security agencies are hungry?
So,
what about if their families are also hungry? Then they may support the hungry people, and then it may cause problems. So there must be a way of reducing the number of people who will be frustrated by creating food centers or a food corridor and passage in the food zone, agricultural zone, passage of vehicles with food after thorough examination and screening, so that food can be injected into Rivers State.
So there's still a problem which I'm hoping you can help me with, and I've talked about this catastrophe of I don't have money. I'm a daily income earner. I don't go out and carry block. I cannot feed. What can happen? And again, I asked about the role of non-state actors. What can government in Rivers State do? And what can non-state actors, how can we ensure that our neighbor is not hungry? Because there's clearly a socio-economic crisis that will fall on our laps. And we want to talk solutions now. What kind of solutions can we provide?
Yeah, what I think is the time to act is now, when these fears have not come. And what that is what we are going to do at this point. What we are going to do at this point, it will calm down. But if people scan the governance environment and they don't hear anything that will show that that if they don't see anything, any palliative, any measure coming, they will overreact by panicking too much, hoarding food, increasing prices. So first step is to say things that will reduce panic, and not just say them in a way that people believe it because they actually want to do it. Number two, government alone cannot do it. It means government can mobilize non-state actors to work with state actors in a sincere and transparent way, so that they could say in every community, look at the point where is it through traditional rulers, is it through CDCs, is it through councillors? First of all, identify intervention points in all the areas, so that people will know that from these points, so that even if, like whenever there is a fire disaster, when it happened to fruit garden, promises came from different angles, and people, it calmed down nerves. And before you need, this organization brought, and you saw that it began to calm them down. So, though it's an isolated incident, but this one is going to be at a massive scale. Therefore, if non-state actors begin to make promises, people here, as they are doing at national level and in Lagos, okay, we are providing isolation points. They say they begin to offer BBK corporations that we have in River State, begin to say we are offering this, we are offering that, we are offering food parlor, food center, intervention centers. The news alone will reduce tension. But this silence for now, so that non-state actors should also, through manufacturing association of that, through the OPS, the organized private sector, chamber of city chamber, manufacturing association, they can begin to hold intervention meetings where they say, okay, our own group, we are offering this is what we do. Then government will be doing at their own level. The private sector people will be doing at their own level. The immediate message you will get, especially creating a food corridor which will allow food to move into the state. Once that is created, 50% of your problem is gone, because some people have money and they can buy. Then those who don't have money and who cannot buy, daily workers and operators who only eat when they close from work, those ones will now know that they are at one level, at certain levels, they can have handouts, food handouts, which they can go home and cook. So if those two, if it's applied that way from the private sector, from the government sector, sometimes at least it will begin to reduce tension. So our government will now be attending to specific problems. But total silence will cause panic, and panic will now cause actions that are very, very irrational on the part of homes and the houses.
And just a final question: what do you think government needs to be doing better right now? What are those areas where government needs to up its game?
Well, in fighting this virus all over the world, we have learned that government fights it, one, through uh, through isolation, to prevent it from coming. So that's what isolation and banning and the shutdown and lockdown. That is one. That is part A. Part B is, if it comes, when it comes, because surely it will come. Surely it has come. So when it has come, people want to see large areas of preparation for treatment, preparation for isolation, preparation for quarantine. That's what people want to see, that they will go. So government has done enough in backing at the problem and giving orders. And when the governor went around today, the governor said he was satisfied by compliance level. Now that the people have obeyed you, they have demonstrated that when government takes a position, when there's fear in the land, that people can lie behind their government. Now that they have demonstrated it, the next thing now is show another level of leadership to say this is the number of isolation centers. Look at the treatment center testing. What the health organization said this evening, that why Britain, UK had bigger problem was that they didn't test enough. So waiting for you looks dangerous. If you learn to do testing, so that as you test, you discover more and you add more. Testing, treatment center, preparation towards treatment center, and reducing tension in the society through food corridor and the food centers. Those ones I think may help. Government can up its games in those areas.
So government needs to up its game in the area of testing, provision of facilities, as well as providing relevant socioeconomic, if you like, safety nets for people to look at, because people want to know that there are safety nets. People want to know that. So we need to find people. And then a big issue which you've talked about is the public private sector relationship. We need to see more of non-state actors and private sector people providing support, creating food banks, and all of those kinds of things so that society gains. The truth is, again, for all those who are, listening, if non-state actors do not do something to cushion the effect of the stay-at-home orders, then I'm afraid all of us are in trouble. Thank you very much, Mr. Chukwu. It was good having you talk with us. And I think that we must all keep doing our bits in the fight against COVID-19. And all of us must find ways to provide support for our government so that everybody is safe. Thank you. Keep sanitizing, keep washing those hands, maintain social distancing. Even though you're a reporter, you better stay safe. Okay? And thank God for technology. Do those interviews without having to be face-to-face all the time. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much. We will now expect CSR, all the companies, community, all their host communities, let them start taking care of the host communities. That government will know the remaining communities that don't have oil companies around them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.